Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome back to another episode of UNC Hoops Talk podcast. I'm your host, Dan DeWitt. Still excited to come to you, even though we're coming off of a loss, and not just a loss, but a loss in the first Duke game. But, we're still in first place of the ACC. We're still got a lot of season left, a lot of tough games coming up. We got obviously the ACC tournament coming up and definitely the NCAA tournament for us. So still a lot to be excited about, a lot to look forward to as Heels fans, some revenge to get, and even before that, some big games to take care of, some business to take care of. So, thanks for joining. Thanks for listening and taking in the podcast. I appreciate it and appreciate the support. But, let's jump right in. Duke game last Thursday didn't come out the way we wanted. We ended up losing 86-78. You know this already. You are a Tar Heel fan if you're listening to this. I'm guessing anyway. But, even though we lost, kind of the one, well, not the only saving grace I would say that we have, but one of the saving graces, it was a good game to watch. I've said this a couple of times now. I know the Kentucky game, I said it. I believe there was one other game I said it that we actually won. But yeah, it was a good game to watch. Like, the refs were not controlling the game. There wasn't, and this is what we get a lot of times at Cameron, without trying to be that Carolina fan. A lot of times we get the refs making some bogus calls or some, just a lot of the flow being interrupted with foul calls and a lot of fouls being called. And we didn't get that. So in that sense, it was a good game. There was just a good flow to it. There wasn't a lot of interruptions. As far as Tar Heels go, it started off bad enough before the game even started when we heard that Isaiah was not going to be playing. I guess even farther back than that, I guess there was a roller coaster, because we first heard that Theo was going to play and that he was going to be back from his ankle injury. Never really disclosed what that was, but Theo was coming back. He was going to be available for us. And then we found out Isaiah was not going to play because of a hamstring. Well, I guess at first it was, we'll see when he gets here, when he kind of warms up, how it's going to be. And then they said he is not going to play tonight. He's not available, even though he did warm up and dress and stuff. His hamstring held him out. So that was starting it off bad enough with one of our starters out. So Luke May gets the start. And to his credit, I've been down on Luke May some at points in this season. He played well. He shot 4 for 8, which probably a little bit too many shots for him. He shot more times than Kennedy Meeks, but made just as many. I was 4 for 8. I had 8 points, only 2 rebounds. And like Roy said, you need more than 2 rebounds out of your 4 spot in a game like this. But in 20 minutes, he held his own. He showed people why he is a scholarship player. There's been people out there, oh, they got a scholarship because, and he was even on the Duke cheer chart or whatever they hand out to help their fans cheer, because apparently their fans need help with what to cheer or whatever. But it was on there that, he was a walk-on that was given a scholarship because we couldn't find anybody else to give it to, or, something like that. But he held his own. He played well. His 3 that he took and missed was ill-advised, not good timing, not a good shot in that position. He did have a long 2 that his foot was on the line, so it was only a 2-pointer. But overall, I was pleased with that. I don't think, I don't want to say because Isaiah was out is, why we lost or whatever, but I think, it could be an excuse you use, but the way Luke played, the 4 spot, I'll say, is not necessarily what lost it in this game. But yeah, good flow to the game. Bad news to start it off. Overall game was well played. We played, pretty well. Close game throughout. They had a 1-point lead at halftime. It was kind of, ESPN, of course, kept showing the graphic of how many ties, how many lead changes have been. I don't remember exactly how many there were or whatever. But in that sense, the back and forth, it was a good game. Entertaining to watch. As far as other stats go, we were led by Justin Jackson, 21 points, 5 rebounds, a couple of threes. And then Joel Berry was the only other guy in double figures. He had 15. And really, it was not a good game for Joel. He shot 5 for 13 overall. 2 for 7 from the 3-point line, 3 for 5, which you'd say isn't bad, but he missed the front end of a 1-1 and missed another free throw late. And free throws in general for us was just not good. And can be another reason why you'd say we didn't win the game. But just those two guys, and really Joel, even though he was in double figures, didn't have a great game, which a lot of people said that was kind of the X factor, or the determining factor is Joel Berry. If he's going to play well, we're going to win. And it would have been true, I think, if he would have played better, if he would have played well, or really good, or great, or whatever, we win the game. But to avail, it didn't happen. Kennedy Meeks, 9 points, 5 rebounds. Again, need a little bit. When our advantage is in the inside, we need more than that from him. And yeah, we didn't get it. And so, I mean, again, I don't want to make excuses. Give Duke the credit. They hit a bunch of threes. We gave them a bunch of open threes. We can talk about that in a minute. But when you take out Isaiah, didn't play at all. And then we didn't dominate the inside. We didn't dominate rebounds. They actually out-rebounded us 31-30. Each team had 7 offensive rebounds. That's been such an advantage. You take that away, to be as close as we were probably lucky. But yeah, and then free throws, we shot 10 for 18 overall, which is 56%, just not going to get it done against a team like Duke in Cameron. And then you take how many threes they made. We were 4 for 12 overall, which is a little bit low for us this year, but not horrible. They were 13 for 27, though. Grayson Allen having 7 and threes in a stinking game. Yeah, when you add all that up, it's going to equal a loss, especially in Cameron, probably even in the Smith Center. So we can't play like that again against this team, or even some others that we play against. But yeah, for them, Grayson Allen had 25, made 7 threes, like I said. Luke Kennard, 20. Jason Tatum, 19. I believe all of them in the second half. When you have their top 3 guys like that, pretty much with all 20 points, I mean, it's not going to end well for us. Like I said, we had 2 guys in double figures. Obviously, Kennedy was a point off. Luke was a bucket off. And then off the bench for us, Tony Bradley had 8 points, only 3 rebounds again, though. Didn't help there. Nate Britt had 7. Theo Pinson had 6 with 7 rebounds. He actually led us in rebounds. And then Seventh Woods actually played pretty well, only 8 minutes, but 4 points, 4 assists. And again, for us, Kenny Williams played 20 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 1 shooting, only 2 rebounds. Like, to get, we're missing our starting 4-man, and then our starting 2 gives us 2 rebounds and 1 missed shot in 20 minutes. Now, to Kenny's credit, he's chasing around, Luke and Grayson on the other end. He added something defensively, but we need more than that from our 2-spot offensively to beat, again, a team like this in Cameron. So, we have 2 guys in double figures, don't dominate where we're supposed to, or even really win where we're supposed to in the rebounding and down low. And then you have their top 3 guys getting 20 points, and then Frank Jackson off the bench going for 11. It's not going to end well for us. So I'm not trying to throw out excuses. I'm trying to explain where we need to improve, what we need to do better next time to, beat the Blue Devils. When they come to the Smith Center, we got to take care of. I mean, they hit some tough threes, but they hit a lot of open threes as well. We can't give them that many, and just made too many of them. I mean, we even hit 14 in the game, and everybody thought it was, Christmas or something because we hit that many threes. They hit 13 against us in a big game. We can't do that. Got to do better at the free throw line. Obviously, mentioned Joel Berry's, but Justin Jackson was 3 for 5 as well. Tony Bradley 2 for 4. And we were missing late when we were trying to come back and make it really a game. So can't do anything about that, or whatever. Got to give Luke credit, but again, with Isaiah back, that hopefully adds us. I think Isaiah has been averaging 12 points or something. We lose by 8, so there's obviously a difference there. Luke probably doesn't get 8 if Isaiah's there, but again, it's right there. It's a different ball game. So without trying to make excuses and trying to explain where we fell short and what we got to do better, that's really what I'm trying to do. And then the last thing I'll kind of say about the Duke game here is it just seems like Joel Berry, something's up with Joel Berry. He's not the Joel Berry that we had early in the season. I can remember saying on the podcast, probably shortly after Maui, is just he will not let us lose. We're following his competitive spirit, his his leadership. Like we give him the ball late and he just wins the game for us. He wills it in if he needs to. He gets it done and wins us the game. And as of late, it just doesn't seem like that. It seems like he's had some off games, which I mean, okay, everybody's gonna have some off games, whatever. But it just seems like end of the game, he probably got fouled, but missed a layup, driving to the basket. Missed the front end of a 1-and-1, which I think should have been a bucket anyway. Luke Kennard fouled him on a fast break. They said it was continuation, so the bucket didn't count. He got 1-to-1 instead. Missed that, big possession. I think it should have been an and one. Took one step and made a layup. Like he's right there. If nothing else, it should be like the NBA where it's an open court foul or whatever, and we should get 2 shots and probably the ball back. And whatever. It's not the rules. I'm not expecting them to call that, but it just seemed like a I don't know, a cop out. It didn't seem like it was continuation. He should have got the and one, but different tangent, different discussion for different day. Just seems like there's something up. He's just not stepping up in the big games, and we know he's capable. He's done it before, so I'm not trying to call him out by any means. That he's not good enough to lead the team or anything like that. We've seen that he is. I just want him to get back there. I don't know. We talked about how hungry this team looked early in the season, coming off obviously the national championship game and falling short, and how painful that was, and how it was, motivating them through the off season and then early season. Have we lost that? I don't know. I'm not trying to get into these kids' minds. Like Roy says, you don't know what to expect from an 18, 19, 20-year-old. But something is different, and I'm just wondering if it's kind of him with his leadership, and is it the we've kind of forgotten about the national championship game and need to be remotivated. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Hit me up on Twitter at Hall Tar Heel Dan. Comment below. What do you think is kind of the missing piece here from us? I think we're still a really good, maybe even great team this year, but going from that to being kind of the standard and, favorite to win it all, or, whatever, stepping up above that. I would love to hear what you guys think. So let me know that. But we got some big games coming up. We can't just think about Duke. We can't sit back and moan and groan about losing to Duke. We got to keep moving here. Before we get into what games we got coming up, our kind of weekly look at the ACC standings now as we go, and North Carolina still atop the ACC, and atop the ACC all by themselves, thanks to Virginia Tech last night beating Virginia in double overtime. I don't think it was a third. I think it was just 2 overtimes. North Carolina sitting at 9-3 in the conference, and then 4 teams behind them, just 1 game behind. So obviously these big games are big for us because obviously against quality opponents that we have coming up, but also because we are only 1 game ahead of a lot of good teams, and that is Florida State, Duke, Louisville, and Virginia, all 1 game back on us. They're either 9-4, 8-4, all those teams. And then you got Notre Dame, Syracuse at 8-5, Virginia Tech, Miami, Georgia Tech, all at 6-6. That's crazy to have. Those are good teams still. Probably not great, but the good teams still at 500 in the ACC. Wake Forest is 6-7. Pittsburgh and Clemson are both 3-9. North Carolina State 3-10. Who we got coming up next, and then Boston College is 2-11 in the conference. So yeah, I mean everybody knows it. It's been well documented how good and how tough the ACC is this year. But we definitely have some work to do if we want to win the ACC this year. Let's see. I think we're done with Louisville this year. Nope, we still got Louisville at home this year. So obviously they're in second, tied for second right now. We have Virginia twice yet. They're at 8-4. We got Duke again, but I don't think we play Florida State again, right? Yeah. Okay. So we got NC State coming up Wednesday, who is 3-10. They're on a 5-game losing streak, but technically our rival. and it's in their place. It's at Raleigh at PNC. So that's, I would say, not a gimme. And when they have as a player as explosive as Dennis Smith, they have the ability to take us down if we're not careful about that. Then we got Virginia and Louisville at home. And then we go to Pittsburgh. Again, should be a win, but I've said this a couple times now on the podcast. It's a away game. It's a noon tip. We got to make sure we're up for that. And then we got Virginia at Virginia, and then we end with Duke at home. So, I mean, we got our toughest games ahead of us. We've said this. I keep saying it over and over on the podcast, but it's going to be tough for us to win the ACC yet, the regular season. So, yeah, let's concentrate now just on this week, though. We got NC State, like I said. It is Wednesday the 15th in Raleigh. It's an 8 p.m. Eastern tip, and it says ACC Network. So if you're local, I don't know, good luck getting it. Probably watch ESPN app is probably your best bet. I've been able to get those, but I think more because I live out of the region, not blocked out or anything like that. So that's Wednesday, and then we go Saturday. Actually, game day is coming to Chapel Hill for our Virginia game. Game day will be in the Smith Center, and that is a 8:15 p.m. Eastern tip on ESPN, of course, with game day there. Going to be a good atmosphere. We got to make sure the crowd is ready. Obviously, the guys have to be ready, but it's going to be a big time environment. Kind of the clash of these styles again, with Virginia, who likes to slow it down so much. With obviously us excelling more out in the open court, and something that we need to do a little bit better job of, I think, is just we haven't been able to get out in the open court, get fast break points. Just making defensive work and getting stuff done before their defense can get set. Obviously going to be important, but very tough to do against Virginia. And, it's gonna be a good game. It always is with Virginia because they don't blow anybody out because they don't score enough. We just got to make sure we're scoring against their tough, packed-in defense and not settling in for any threes. We can't fall in love with three ball. But we also need to make some. It's not that we can't take any. We gotta make some and make them open up their defense a little bit so that we can dominate inside. That's the give and take with this team. We can make threes, but our bread and butter and where we can really dominate well is inside. So we got to be able to feed the two-headed monster there. So that'll be an interesting one. But again, we can't overlook NC State on Wednesday. I know it hasn't been much of a rivalry, but every game is so important now, and we got to make sure we're taking care of business when we can and where we can. So got to go into Raleigh and steal some brownies from the Wolfpack, as Roy likes to do. And Roy, doesn't like State, and so hopefully he can, get the guys going to win that one. Hopefully even easily. Obviously, remember we beat them 51 at home. I'm sure they remember that, and we got to make sure that we don't just try to slide by in that game. So that's about all I got for reviewing the Duke game. I expect a much different outcome when Duke comes to Chapel Hill. I'll just a little preview there for that Duke game, and I also got a special guest lined up leading up to that Duke game. So make sure you are, subscribed wherever you listen or watch the podcast to make sure you don't miss that or any other podcast before then. We are going weekly here. It's big time ACC basketball now. And then on top of that, also, I got something big coming for the ACC tournament. So make sure, again, subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, pretty much anywhere podcasts can be listened to. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're listening to this, subscribe where you're listening. Leave reviews, leave comments. I love to get the feedback from the listeners, but also make sure you're following me on Twitter. There's a lot of stuff will be going on there. And then I'm hoping Periscope as well, which obviously you can see through Twitter, but you may not get the notifications to be able to watch it live and comment and interact with me. That's what I would really love, is if you do that. So go to Periscope, get the app if you don't already, or do it through Twitter and turn notifications on for me so that you can interact with me live on Periscope during the ACC tournament. Like I said, something big coming up. I can't talk about it yet. But yeah, just want to get that out there. Make sure you're subscribing and even more than that, interacting. Share this podcast with your Tar Heel friends, family. Even if you don't like them, if they're a Tar Heel fan, share it with them. Hopefully they will enjoy it as well. I truly love the support that you guys give me listening to the podcast and interacting with me. That's really the mission of this podcast, is unite Tar Heel Nation. So I'm going to just check my notes here, make sure I didn't miss anything. And then also check to make sure, because I've been doing these live, to make sure nobody asks any questions that I missed. And I think I've hit them all. So if you have questions that you want to ask and be answered live on the podcast, send them in, on Twitter or wherever, and just say, hey, will you answer this on the podcast? I'd love to do that. Otherwise, I have been doing these live. Again, in order to do that, you'd have to probably subscribe and turn on notifications on YouTube, so that you know when I'm live, be able to watch the podcast being recorded live, and then you'd be able to ask questions as we're going as well. And again, I love the interaction and love being able to talk Tar Heel basketball with all of you. So I don't want to ramble on anymore. I don't want to take any more time of yours. And again, thank you for watching, listening, participating in UNC Hoops Talk podcast. That's all I got for you this week. Until we talk again next week, go Heels.